My name is Kelvin Amici, born and raised in Los Angeles, from South Central to the east side to the west side. Parents came from Nigeria, from the Igbo tribe. Then, 36 years old, father of three handsome boys, married man, been married since 6 years now, since I've been married. Yeah, so just happy to be here. Well, the fondest memories of my parents advocating for me. When I was younger, I was kind of a mischievous type of child, always getting in trouble. But my mom always knew that sometimes I am right. Sometimes the teachers weren't picking on me. So yes, a lot of the time she would advocate for me, like my son did not do that. Or if he did do that, what triggered the other student that, made my son react a certain type of way. So my mother always had my back. My father had my back too. And my grandfather was also a big influence in my life as well. Growing up, my elementary years, always taking care of me, getting my back, going to the principal for me just in case my parents were working. But I've always had the love for my family. Well, my parents advocating for me, how I maybe want to advocate for my children, my father always instilled in me to be in line in the jungle. So I always tell that to my boys, you're in line and I got your back. I'm the male lion. You guys still my cubs. I'm gonna make sure that my tribe's protected. So anytime my kids, sometimes your kids will get in trouble in class, they will get in trouble in school, but always make sure I try to put that into context of what the principal or the counselor is saying. Sometimes you need constructive criticism. At the end of the day, I have my kids back if they are right. Educational background, I'll start with my mom. She went to nursing school. She's an RN. She's been doing that for 30 plus years. My father, on the other hand, it's kind of crazy. He kind of had a good life growing up in Nigeria, but when he came out here, didn't do too well. Didn't finish his education. High school grad, that was it. But as he got older, he's got his licenses. He started his own business. But the majority of the people in my family, my grandfather's a retired pharmacist. My other grandfather, God bless his soul, was a doctor. So education is unbelievable. You have to be educated to be in my family. I myself, I do have a degree. All my siblings, we all have degrees. So yeah, it's very important in my family. Growing up in elementary, growing up in South LA, I would say it was about 50% African American. The other 50% was like a mix between Latino and Asian. But as we started moving closer to the west side of the valley, things did begin to change. I graduated from Nevada Avenue Elementary. It was probably 4% African American students. The majority of the teachers were white. So you kind of felt that tension and how they treated us differently compared to the other students. Junior high, I went to Lawrence Middle School, probably say 7% African American. And it was also in Chatsworth too, in the mid to late 90s. So it was also that skinhead, neo-Nazi type element over there too. And some of those teachers had those same views as well. So it was, I wouldn't say it was a constant fight, to get my voice heard, because I'm gonna speak anyways. But you always felt that tension with the faculty and the staff over there. Growing up in a Nigerian household, when you go to the parties, the dashikis, the food, everything, it's very important. But at the same time, being born here, I feel that I have a connection to my African American brothers over here too. At the same time, I feel like like my lost brother, my lost sisters is over here too. But yeah, I'm prideful. I know my tribe. I know my background. Yeah. History is my favorite subject growing up. So I was the type of student who challenged the history teachers in a way, in a respectful manner. I never felt that they dug in deep enough to Black history. It was more like you got MLK. Maybe a paragraph about Malcolm X. He might be in a pop quiz or something like that, but nothing about the Black inventors. The Black Wall Street, of course, they're not going to talk about that. There's so many things that they choose to skip over because we're not a focus to them. I feel that they don't believe in us. They don't believe in our history. So therefore, to them, why even talk about it? So me, as a Black student, I would say, hey, teacher, what about that invention, that this Black invention? How come we don't talk about that? The teacher would just get stuck and say, Kelvin, you're right. You're right. It's not in the book, not paid to do it, but you are right. Well, just to have a little bit more knowledge, certain black issues compared to the teachers, it made me feel good in the sense that maybe some of my fellow black students in the class maybe were just too shy to talk about it, didn't feel confident enough in the subject matter. It made me feel good, not trying to be like I was a smart ass or anything like that, but sometimes you gotta do that just to grab the attention and put focus and perspective what's important to yourself as an African American student. Growing up, as far as the amount of black teachers, in elementary I did not have a black teacher in elementary, but there was a black teacher named Mr. Shaw. He was in the class right next to me. Rasta with the dreadlocks, the medallions, the cross colors. If you're still alive, hey, Mr. Shaw, I love you. Got in trouble, pulled me into the class, and literally just talked to me for about an hour when I was in 4th grade. He just told me, like, hey, what are you doing? You're like, there's only 2 black kids in your whole class. You have to be an example. By the end of the conversation, he gave me like a little African medallion. I had that all the way up until high school. I don't know what happened to it, but he was huge, as a young child, knowing that a man is not my father, not related to me, pulled me to the side and looked out for me. Mad love for Mr. Shaw. Advocating for, I'm gonna say for my 12-year-old, advocating for him, he was getting in trouble for like little small stuff. Like, he didn't bring an eraser to class. And I'm getting a call. I'm like, you guys don't have erasers in class. It's just an eraser. So one day, I had to go to the school. I got off work, I'm just gonna go to school and go talk, for my son. I was like, literally like, what is the problem? You guys have called me 3 times in the last month over something that's not behavioral or academic. It's very, very minor stuff. So there's an issue going on over here that you have either with myself or with my son. So let's get to the bottom of it. Crickets. No answer. No answer. So I told him, like, is there a particular issue that you have with my son that we need to address? Still no answer. So at that point, we came to the conclusion we have to move. We have to move, we have to get out of this particular area. Because at that time, with that particular demographic in the school, with the faculty and staff, it just wasn't working. No matter how many times I went over there, no matter how many times I yelled at the teachers, got into it, my wife doing the same thing too, they were not gonna cater to my children. They weren't. That was actually the main reason why I left Panorama City. There were some black parents, but there weren't, I'm gonna be honest with you, there weren't a lot of black fathers advocating for the kids. It was more the moms, the grandmas advocating for the kids. And when you step in there and try to speak on your behalf for your kid, they're gonna see like, okay, there's something going on in the household that, there's just another black family. They're just typical, stereotypical black family. They're not gonna take your grievances seriously. And that's how I felt, a lot of the time. My father wasn't in my life the whole time, but my father loved me a lot. I loved my siblings a lot. So he was always there for us, phone call away. My dad's on the freeway, coming to get our back. That's what I try to do for my children as well.
I'm going to do that same thing.
I would say listen to your children. Listen to your children. It could be something that's bugging them, that they may brush away. Oh, get out of here, I want to relax, I want to watch TV. But they're not taking in, if their child is hurting or not. Now, once you figure out what's going on with your child, then it becomes easier to correct those things. It could be behavioral, it could even be psychological, lack of attention, things like that. And also too, just knowledge of self. The parents need to understand themselves, put themselves at a higher frequency too, because you can tell that to the children, but if you're not practicing that yourself, the kid, they're gonna brush it off. These kids are, all this technology, Fortnite and all that. These kids, they know what's going on for the most part. The ultimate vision for my boys in the future, my black sons, to be the best them, to max out their potential as much as possible. Knowledge of self, knowledge of culture, not just going to the whole educational, say, hey, I got a degree, I went to school, but try to open up your own business, leave a legacy, I want my kids to be the best that they can be, and that starts with me. It starts with me and my wife in the household first. We still got work to do ourselves, but hopefully that reflects on them. Black students, you are valued, we love you, and your voice matters.